Welcome back to another episode of ChamberTalk, a podcast brought to you by Aberdeen and Grampian Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Finlay Jack, and we here in the Northeast are on the verge of welcoming the Tall Ships Races back to the shores of Aberdeen for the first time since 1997, boosting the local economy by tens of millions of pounds and welcoming an expected 400,000 people to the city and surrounding areas. So who better to join me as excitement builds ahead of next year's sailing extravaganza than the women tasked with making it all come to life, the project manager of the Tall Ships Races Aberdeen, Emma Wadee. Emma, welcome to ChamberTalk. Thank you for joining me.
Absolute pleasure. What an introduction.
A big challenge awaiting you. You're PM for the Aberdeen races. Now, I wasn't around when they were here last in 1997, but the magnitude of the event isn't lost on me. You know, an extraordinary financial boost to the city's economy, hundreds of thousands of people on our streets, in our bars, cafes, restaurants, etc. How are you embracing this huge challenge?
It's a very good question. I think everything that you've just said there, Finlay, it weighs heavily on my shoulders. It's a huge responsibility. I'm not from Aberdeen, and my very first visit that I had to Aberdeen, I actually went to the Fitty Bar in the evening after spending the day with some of my colleagues in the Tall Ships team. And the number of people that talked to me about their memories of the 90s was unbelievable. And that has carried through in the months that I've been now on the event working here. And it's a huge, huge privilege to be in this role because this event is so unique with the opportunities that come with it. I've never worked on an event where there is such an opportunity to involve everybody from the local businesses, the community, volunteers, young people. It's a huge vehicle for everybody to get involved in something so exciting for the whole of the Northeast.
Certainly, you know, when I was looking back, when it got announced that Aberdeen was a host city, probably about 18 months ago now, when I was looking back to 1997, I was almost in a bit of disbelief at just the size and the scale of the event. Was it similar, you know, with you when the job came up and you took the job that there was 500,000 folk came down to see these ships? That's incredible.
It's incredible numbers, and it just seems to tap into so many different people. I'm used to working in outdoor large events of this scale, more that are more sporting events that tend to be difficult to interest everybody. And the tall ships, it really is, as I just mentioned, it's a really unique event where everybody can get involved. There's a huge community aspect to it and a huge feeling of celebration of, particularly for Aberdeen, the maritime heritage. The links in with actual sailing vessels and the history of what Aberdeen has actually been a leader in the past, and it looks like going to be a leader in the future with the energy transition. It's a really unique vessel for bringing everybody together.
Let's just very briefly talk about your kind of background, because you were also project manager, I believe, of the UCI World Cycling Championships, which were in Glasgow and kind of across Scotland last summer. Now, that was, by all accounts, a fairly successful event. Is there similar challenges, you know, with the tall ships to ensure it's, I guess, smooth sailing, if you like, for the races next year?
Oh, good first pun. Well,
I've been working hard on it.
yeah, it is. It does have similar challenges given the scale, the complexities of what we're doing. And yes, my experience last year, we were working as part of a huge collective, actually, of people bringing the Cycling World Championships to Scotland last year. It was a completely unique opportunity to be the first hosts of holding all the Cycling World Championships in one country at one time. The logistics, the operations behind that were intense and difficult, but everybody rallied behind it to make it happen. And I think everybody had huge benefits from pulling together. That synergy that was created is something that I think Scotland is very, very successful at. And I can see that already in Aberdeen, the number of people that are already involved in bringing tall ships next year, right the way through from the bid partnership with Aberdeen Council, Port of Aberdeen and Aberdeen Inspired, that actually were successful in winning the bid to bring tall ships back, because we know how important it is to Aberdeen, to the northeast, to bring tall ships back. It was a hugely popular event. It's far too long since they were here the last time, and yeah, it's a real opportunity for the whole of the northeast to work together to celebrate the Tall Ships event, to maximise the opportunities that an event of this scale, bringing that number of people to the area, can bring. And I do see that already, that working together, all our different organisations that exist are pulling together to support this event in making it as successful as it can be.
Does that almost make your job slightly easier? You touch on a kind of sense of togetherness. It certainly does feel like there is that in Scotland, in Aberdeen for sure. I think just not too long ago, we saw a massive list of sponsors be released already, well over a year in advance. It must, take one of the challenges, or make one of the challenges slightly easier for you.
Absolutely. I found that from the get-go when I arrived here in Aberdeen, the number of people that want to be involved is I wouldn't want to start naming names because I'll miss somebody out. There is so many different organisations, from businesses, charities, all the third sector, all the support that goes through the streams of Aberdeen and the northeast are all pulling together. And it isn't just the city, it's right across the whole of the northeast. We have National Trust of Scotland getting involved. How can we get all the different cultural venues involved, all the different distilleries? It's just like a spider web. It just keeps growing bigger and bigger. And what we want to do as the Tall Ships team is open the door, help with ideas, help with support in building the different aspects of the event. But really, it's an open door. We want people to be creative. We want people to approach us with ideas, and then we can signpost from there.
So just looking forward to July the 19th, I believe it is, 2025, when they will arrive in Aberdeen. What do you hope we will be able to see, on our shores? What events will be, on offer for the good people of Aberdeen and those that come from wide and far to see these magnificent vessels?
Yeah, so the 19th of July next year, it's almost a year away. That year away to year to go is quite the marker point that we're all looking forward to, but also it becomes a bit more real at that point. So when they arrive in port, we'll have the whole of the North Harbour of Port of Aberdeen already. Some of the ships might arrive a couple of days early, depending on the weather and the sailing conditions. So you may see some ships arrive slightly before the 19th of July. But we will be have events, typical marquees and trader stands, food and drink, local trader stands, crafters, different exhibitions, all on the go from the 19th, ready to welcome the ships. I get asked very often, are we using the South Harbour because of all the works done there? But we are taking over the North Harbour of Port of Aberdeen. The only thing that will be really operational, other than the 50 majestic tall ships that will be in the North Harbour, will be Northlink Ferry. The majestic ferry itself, providing that fantastic service up to the islands, will be in there alongside around 50 of the tall ships that will be berthed around the quaysides. So from a visitor's perspective, we'll use all of the quaysides around that North Harbour. There's not too much space there for much more than the ships, to be honest. And the visitors that will be on the quaysides will need a lot of that space to view the ships, which is what, of course, most people are coming to see. We will have some trader stands, food and drink, seats to sit and rest and enjoy the celebrations. There'll be stages, there'll be space for artists, there'll be lots of different things ongoing on the harbour, and a main stage on the quayside too. But one of the most exciting things is because we don't have too much space on the quayside for activations, we're going to have a big welcome entrance coming down Marshall Street at the end of Union Street. And we're going to use an area in the Castlegate for a discovery zone, which will be a youth-centric area, lots of STEM activities, come and try. But what that actually will do is connect the event right into the city centre. And what's exciting about that from loads of perspectives is from a visitor's point of view, we're going to be connected into where all the hotels are, the restaurants, the bars, all the shops, and connect it all together. So you can come into the event site, it's free, it's a free entry. You can come and go as you please. You can go back for lunch, you can go back down to the event site, and it will really help support us as the event to have us bolstered with all these different activities and activations through the city. So all the different cultural venues, they'll be having different exhibitions, lots of different shows. There'll be loads happening all over that we're able to signpost our visitors to, and it become a giant footprint of an event across the entire city and actually the region. Because that's the important part, is it isn't just the 4 days of the event. We're trying really super hard. We're bringing visitors from our area across Aberdeenshire. We're bringing them from all over Scotland and hopefully national, hopefully international. We want them to do more than just spend the 4 days on the quayside looking at the ships. We want to have a proper destination marketing strategy where we've got things happening all around the region. We push the stay, we extend it over a week, and we make it really easy for visitors to do that. We signpost how to do that. And we can do that through all our partners like Visit Aberdeenshire, Visit Scotland, National Trust, loads of different partner organisations that can help us build that, make it really easy for the visitors. And it is, of course, it's that idea of the return stay as well. How do we really showcase Aberdeen? It's not just the event, it's actually, there's loads more happening here. How do we get people to come back? And I think that's, it's a big ambition of what the Tall Ships event can do.
I was going to touch on that. Is that one of the really big opportunities here that perhaps isn't mentioned as much? Because it's besides the whole ships, it's saying to people, Aberdeen is this wonderful city, the Shire, the heritage that has. Come back next year or the year after and join us for a week and see more what we've got to offer. It isn't just events like this. There's so much on offer. Is that one of the real chances that we have as a region here to promote ourselves?
Absolutely. And it's what I was saying about that word synergy. I think I'm asking everybody to feel a bit galvanized to really get involved. Be creative. How can we all get involved? Help dress the city. We can have shop windows decorated with Tall Ships memorabilia and really showcase the whole entire of Union Street as an example. It's connected right into the welcome entrance of the event site. People can touch on these different points. And as well, just to say there, it isn't just the 4 days of the event that we're going to be doing Tall Ships activations. We've got a programme starting. There's actually activations already starting to happen. We're going to be having an educational programme in the schools once we're back from summer this year. There's going to be touch points the whole way through. And from a programme perspective, we've got an amazing coincidence next year with the Aberdeen Shipping Line celebrating the bicentenary. So there's a huge heritage touch point there, and that's going to be a beautiful golden strand that we can pull on and activate through from now all the way through to the event itself and afterwards, and really focus on that celebration of our heritage.
Let's talk about the ships themselves. I was very fortunate in an old job to see one up close. I'm not going to say its name because I'll butcher it, but it was an Indonesian vessel, and it was seeing it just sail in to it was North Harbour, I believe. Seeing it just sail in, and it was an amazing sight. I mean, just talk to us about the size, the scale of these vessels, because they aren't just ships, are they? There's something completely different to what you would anticipate a ship being. They're just wonderful.
It's so unique. They're these traditional sailing vessels, and they range in sizes. So we're hoping to attract around 50 of these tall ships next year. but they range, they're called Class A to Class D ships, and the Class Ds are the smaller tall ships, sail-powered, all the way through to the enormous, gigantic, majestic Class A vessels that you're referring to. And we had, last year, we were lucky enough to have 3 of them stop with Aberdeen last summer. And the reaction that they got, only 3 of them, was magnificent. So to imagine the whole of the North Harbour, and it will be filled with 50 or more, the indication's looking very positive to have a really good turnout. The captains of the ships are particularly excited about coming to Aberdeen. They remember the Port of Aberdeen as a commercial place they've visited before. It's world renowned as a great port to visit in terms of facilities for ships. So the indication is really strong that we're going to get good numbers of the ships. But yeah, they're all completely different from each other as well. They're particularly unique. They've got similarities, of course, but they are really unique, and they are crewed differently as well. The international crews are the most vibrant, diverse, amazingly, colourfully, wonderfully, musically interesting crews that are going to be visiting us from all around the world. We're going to have between 1,500 and 2,000 international crews staying with us for 4 days.
I think we heard an Indonesian version of Popeye the Sailor Man when the vessel was here last year, which was just something totally unique. It was amazing to see and to hear. Just talk to us about some of the volunteer opportunities available, especially for young people, because this, I guess, is one of the big challenges here, galvanizing the youth of the Northeast. It's a totally different world to what it was in 1997. And there is, I believe, a number of opportunities for them to get on these ships and help out and do their bit.
Yeah, so there's two things you're touching on there. So the volunteer program itself is crucial to the success of this event. It's a huge event. We'll, of course, have it stewarded and secured with security to keep it safe, to keep the city moving as it needs to. But our volunteers, we're looking for between 300 and 400 volunteers to help support this and deliver it in a really splendid fashion that I think we can do. We want to give an amazing Scottish welcome to the crews that are visiting and to the visitors that make the effort to come to Aberdeen to spend time with us. And I should say a huge thank you already. We have already got an enormous number of people signed up and registered interest in becoming a volunteer. We have our recruitment will properly start in autumn time. We'll send out more information closer to the time. But we are so excited about building that volunteer team. And there's a couple of different roles within there. And one thing that we'd really love to do is make it accessible to everybody. There really is a role for everyone. Like you said, there's roles for young people that have maybe never volunteered before, maybe never had a job before. Come and be a part of it, come and find out more. It's going to be fully supported and welcomed, that everybody can come and take part in. And there's roles that differ in experience levels as well. So we've got visitor welcome roles, and then we've got the slightly more specialist roles of ship liaison officers. So we'll have Aberdeen ship liaison officers that are crucial. We'll need almost 100 people to help liaise between the ships, the captains, the crews, and the event itself, and make sure the ships have everything that they need when they come to stay with us. They've been at sea for over a week at that point. Wow. They'll be needing some support when they arrive in the city. And the trainees that are on board are young as well. The majority are young, between 15 and 25. So, and they're from all around the world, the trainee crew. So we want to really make sure they have a really fully supported visit when they come to Aberdeen and feel really special, really welcomed, and have a really great time when they're here with us in Scotland.
I was looking at the report of the Lerwick Tall Ships races, which was last year, 2023, when they were there. And it just really reinforced the prize that's on offer here. There was a £4.5 million gross spend. 99% of attendees said their experience was good or very good, which is an amazingly high figure. And we touched on earlier, really quite importantly, half of the people who attended the Lerwick event said they were likely to return to Shetland in a kind of tourist way, if you like. The price here, if we get this right, for Aberdeen, the city, the region, the people, is just huge, isn't it?
It really is. It's difficult to place a figure on it. We're looking at what you've just said for Lerwick there. It's astronomical what the impact can be, and it's really exciting, and everybody can really make this the success that it can be. It was a huge success in the 90s. We want to build on that. We want to ensure we do something of the same scale, the same people talk about in the future the same way, with fond memories, and that the impact is genuine, that there's an authentic economic impact, that businesses do feel like they've really maximised the opportunity that this has brought them, and they've really felt that impact in a really positive way. And everybody can help build that. It's not just going to happen all by itself. We really need everybody to get involved and be creative, come up with ideas how a business can tie in. And I think there are natural ways that can happen. And one thing I was just going to touch on was the trainees. The trainee opportunity, I think, is one of the most fundamental ways that we can really celebrate the success of the event. We have an opportunity to send 100 Aberdonians aged between 15 and 25 to actually take part in the race next year. So they'd be sailing either from France to Aberdeen or from Aberdeen to Kristiansand. And that's an incredible opportunity. There's the idea of just being on board the ship itself, being away from home in a completely different environment. You don't need any sailing experience whatsoever. You learn everything when you're on the ship. It's going to be a test of your resilience. It'll build your resilience. It'll definitely build your confidence. You'll make friends from all around the world. There's parties, there's good times to be had. I've heard some stories that I probably wouldn't repeat when I'm being recorded, but it's a thoroughly good time. And the programme that we are putting together is supported already by some sponsors, businesses that have come on board to help sponsor this. We are going to have funding in place to assist these young Aberdonians to go on this adventure. And that, I think, is key to what we're trying to achieve. We want people, young folks, that wouldn't consider this as an opportunity that they could tap into. They would never consider in a million years that they could do something like this. We want to make it accessible by helping support with financial support and some assistance before they actually go off sailing next year. It's everybody. It's at the heart of what we all want to achieve with this event, is giving young people some opportunities that they've maybe not had before. And this programme is super exciting.
And I think just a nice way to wrap up, and you mentioned there 27 years ago since the Tall Ships were here, and they're remembered so fondly. You know, people hark back to that all the time because of how amazing it was. How do we ensure that 27 years from now, people will look back to the 2025 races and go, wow, weren't those just an incredible 4 or 5 days?
It's that building of community, which is already happening. Everybody is getting behind the Tall Ships event. Everybody is starting to get involved. If people aren't already, please do reach out, get in touch, come up with some creative ideas. How can everybody get involved, from community groups, from schools, from young people, all the way through to the different venues, distilleries, all the different visitor attractions that exist already? How can everybody get involved? And that way, everybody will just feel so proud of what the Tall Ships Races has brought to the area, and felt part of it and enjoyed it, celebrated it. We're going to be able to have a programme showcasing the amazing talent that exists in this area, to a worldwide audience. The media presence is going to be huge. We can capitalise on this. We can bring visitors back afterwards, not just visitors far afield. We can bring local visitors back into the city and remember all the great things that Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire has to offer.
Emma, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate you joining us. That's all for this instalment of Chamber Talk. Please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.